Cafeteria trays in hand, Elliot and Fred stand in the lunch line looking over what's on offer. Fred's mind isn't exactly focused. He's thinking about the conversations he's just had with Riley and Kayla. The potato salad, Elliot points and hums. So good. Huh? Fred looks up, half in a daze. Ah, I know that look. Elliot smiles as they shuffle up in the line. You're a little overwhelmed by the decision, aren't you? Fred shifts uncomfortably as he looks down at the floor. Kinda, he replies, kicking at the floor as they stand in line. I'm just a little confused as to why those two would want my body. Fred looks up with an honest expression. I don't want to be me, so why would they want to be, well, me? Elliot gives Fred a quick glance to acknowledge the question, then orders his food from the server. As the two of them move down the line, Elliot grabs a knife and fork before addressing his question. Shall we sit down before I start going on a ramble about metaphysics? With only potato salad on his plate, Fred agrees, and the two of them sit together on a wide but empty bench in the canteen. Let me ask you a question, Fred. Elliot takes a scoop of food and hovers it around his mouth. Does that idea make you feel guilty? Like those two women would be getting the short straw when trading bodies with you? Fred pushes at his salad with a fork. Yeah, I guess so. Is that irrational? Tell me exactly how you're feeling right now, Elliot asks as he happily eats the food on his fork with a delighted hum. I guess I'm worried that if I switch with one of those two ladies, they will regret agreeing to be me. Fred rubs at his face before continuing to play with his food. I mean, Riley seems like she wants to be, competitive and, I don't know, like an alpha male. She won't get that in my body. Elliot politely nods to say he's listening. And Kayla, Fred sighs. She probably wants to start her life as a grown man, not some kid. Fred looks down at himself. So, I guess I'm not just overly sure why either of them would even want to be me. This is good, Elliot replies, swallowing down his food only to scoop up some more. You're asking all the normal questions. I am? Fred looks up at Elliot, surprised. Seriously? Yep, Elliot nods. It's easy for someone who's been suffering with gender dysphoria to just assume their body is useless because it's never felt right to them. Consider this. Do you think that Riley and Kayla might feel the same about their bodies? But they're both such attractive girls. How would they feel bad about their own... Fred stops himself mid-sentence and quickly answers his own question. Nodding several times, he takes a scoop of his food and gently smiles. They don't want to be girls, do they? Fred says gently as Elliot smiles back. Sorry, I guess that was a stupid thing for me to worry about. I suppose I'm just looking for excuses to make it seem less real because I want it so much. Oh! Elliot quickly changes the mood with a tone of surprise. Is that your friend? Fred looks around to see Leah, food tray in hand, looking a little lost and in need of a place to sit. Call her over. I'd be fascinated to have her sit with us. Fred raises a hand. Leah, he calls out. Over here. She smiles bright and rushes over, giving Fred a big grin. She sits beside him, looking at him the entire time, like they've not seen each other in months and have a lot of catching up to do. Hi! The man on the waiting desk said I could come in here, seeing as I'm waiting for you. How's it all going? Have you met your new body yet? Are they, super cute and stuff? Yeah, Fred answers with a hint of anxiety. Uh-oh? Leah looks instantly bummed out. Are they not what you want? I sense disappointment. Fred's not disappointed, young lady. Elliot smiles at Leah as she finally acknowledges him sitting opposite. He's got a pretty tough decision to make. Choosing between the two who he's been matched isn't an easy decision. OMG! Leah looks between them, both excited. What are they like? Are they pretty? Are they nice people? You gotta tell me! Very interesting. Elliot tilts his head as he looks at Leah's excitement. Is it important to you that Fred becomes a pretty girl, miss? I don't know, Leah answers flippantly. I guess I just want Fred to be happy. I know being pretty will make it easier for him as a woman. Leah begins to flap her hands with excitement as she turns her attention back to Fred. You gotta tell me what they're like. What are their names? She then scrunches her face and lets out a little squeak of discomfort. Ugh, I'm incredibly desperate for the toilet. The waiting room doesn't have one. Leah looks at Elliot, wanting to know where the restrooms are. Just out of the entrance and on the right, Elliot tells her, pointing as Leah quickly gets to her feet. She dances on the spot for a moment to talk to Fred. Hold that thought, I'll be right back. Leah rushes off towards the toilets in a flurry of squeaks. Pushing open the door to the public restroom, she goes straight to the first cubicle, pulls down her underwear, and sits in one quick motion. Moments later, a voice comments from the cubicle next to hers. Wow, sounds like you really needed a piss. Going bright red, Leah pulls up her underwear when she's finished. Yeah. She replies awkwardly, flushing the toilet and stepping out of the cubicle. As she approaches the sink to wash her hands, the person comments again. Ugh! They groan and retch. Did you have to eat all the asparagus, girl? I'm already feeling nauseous over here. I'm sorry. Leah looks confused at the closed door and the girl talking to her through it. You should be. The girl then retches a few times. It's gross. I'm already suffering in here and your piss reeks. Leah is about to reply, but jumps back when the girl retches loudly, making Leah embarrassed by the situation and a little nauseous herself. Are you okay? Leah steps close to the door, worried for the girl inside. Do you want me to get someone? No, they answer sarcastically. I'm fine. Don't you dare tell anyone. Leah pulls a face at her rude attitude. But you might be sick? She eventually replies, unable to pull herself away from someone in need. Ugh! The girl retches again, and then the toilet flushes. Seconds later, the cubicle door is thrown wide open, and in front of Leah stands a rather disheveled Riley, who wipes at her mouth with her sleeve. Hey, asparagus girl, Riley greets her with a sarcastic smile. I thought you'd be older. She looks her up and down. But you are actually really pretty. I hate they've just heard me doing that. Oh, Leah looks away, blushing. Have you already had your body swapped? Or are you about to give away your body, or what? Riley asks bluntly, staring at Leah with her arms crossed. Being a girl sucks. Riley rudely talks over Leah as she goes to wash her hands. I hate everything about it, Riley continues, standing at the basin looking at her reflection in disgust. I hate the expectations that are placed upon me. Maybe I don't want to look pretty. Maybe I don't want to wear a dress. She hits the tap off as she becomes upset. Maybe I don't want to bleed every single fucking month. Leah just watches on, not really sure what to say or do, but she quickly understands this is the sort of thing Fred has said to her about being a boy. Riley reacts to Leah's silence by staring at her through the reflection in the mirror. Hey, sorry if you've just been put in that beautiful body. If you were born a boy and now you've got your dream body, don't let me put you off. Riley pauses in thought, then looks down, biting at her lip. Just don't let guys treat you however they want, okay? Just because you're smaller than they are, doesn't mean you're less than they are. I'm not a boy, Leah corrects as Riley stands at the paper towel dispenser. Well, duh, Riley mocks. Obviously you're not a boy anymore. Have you seen how sexy your legs are in that dress? Leah starts pulling down the hem of her dress, getting all embarrassed as the girl across from her raises both her eyebrows in a gesture she's only really seen from boys. No, Leah crosses her legs. I meant that this is the body I was born with. I'm not here to switch my gender. Riley finishes wiping her hands and throws the paper towel in the bin before stopping at the entrance door to look in Leah's direction. Oh, right. Riley places her hand on the door, but stops just short of opening it, then looks back at Leah, confused. So, if you're not trading bodies, does that mean you work here? Because that might be a problem. I don't work here, no. I'm here with a friend. Leah's once again cut off as Riley keels over in front of her, holding her mouth like she's going to be sick. Retching, Riley rushes to the same cubicle and bends over the toilet bowl. Are you okay? Leah watches on, worried for her. I'm fine. Riley waves away her worries between retches. I just get sick like this most mornings. Most mornings? Riley sits on her back legs, still in front of the toilet bowl, and lets out a frustrated sigh. Slowly, whilst wiping at her mouth, she turns to look at Leah with a stern expression. Don't tell anyone, she demands the glare. I'm sure you've already worked out that I'm pregnant. Don't ruin this for me. I'm so close to getting rid of this stupid girly body. Leah's face drops. Pregnant? You should really tell them, you know? I'm sure whoever's potentially swapping with you would want to know your condition. Don't lecture me, asparagus. Riley grits her teeth and reaches for the open cubicle door to shut it. As the door closes and Riley starts retching again, Leah's left just sort of staring vacant. Then, with a nervous look back at the closed cubicle door, she leaves the toilet and heads back to the lunch table, where Fred and Elliot are. She sits, and suddenly the food on her plate is a little less appealing. Leah, Fred pokes her shoulder, making her force a smile at him. Do you want to see the files of the two I might be switching with? Sure. Here they are. Elliot takes Kayla's and Riley's files off his clipboard to slide them in front of Leah. She looks down and first sees the picture of Kayla. She's pretty, Leah comments, looking at Fred as she taps at the picture on the file. Leah then looks at the file and sees her age. Oh, she's, older. Hating the awkward silence, Leah quickly moves on to the second file. The blood drains from her face as she looks at Riley's photo, and it's the same pregnant girl from the toilet. Leah's speechless as she stares vacantly at Riley's photo. She's cute too, right? Fred says, waiting tentatively for Leah's approval. Yeah, Leah nervously laughs. Yeah. Staring at the files, Leah is silent until she looks up at Elliot with purpose. Are these the only two matches for Fred? Elliot looks at her, confused and a little offended. Leah? Fred pokes her shoulder again. Don't be rude. I've met them both, and I'm seriously considering one of them. Which one? Leah asks, staring desperately to hear the answer. Wait. Elliot takes the files from Leah's grasp to pin them back on its clipboard. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here. We've still got several meetings before that. Now, I suggest we eat and change the subject. Elliot smiles and looks out the window. Nice day, huh? Sure. Leah replies with a mopey tone as she picks up an asparagus from her plate and lets it droop in front of her eyes. It's turning into a great day. She sighs with worry, looking at Fred, who's innocently smiling wide. A great day. I agree. Fred grins happily. I'm really excited to talk to Riley and Kayla again. Really excited.
Thank you so very much for watching and making it all the way to the very end. If you've enjoyed the content, please consider supporting us on Patreon, where members get early access to all our content.